Hi, my name is Rick Phelps. You probably know that by now, but this is January the 5th. I believe this is my fifth video that I've done. Excuse me. I wanted to talk today about something that started months ago when we first realized that I had EOAD, and we got a hold of a caseworker out of Canton, Ohio, which is about 70 miles from where we live. And when I called her, I was having difficulty over the phone. She could recognize that right off the bat. And it surprised me because I thought we was going to have to go up there to Canton and have a meeting or discussion or whatever with her. But come to find out, they do in-home visits, which was great. So anyway, she come down, I believe 2 nights later, and she was here at the house. We had our daughter here and her husband, and of course Phyllis June was here, and she was here for, like I said, about 3 hours. And I learned more that day, or we learned more that day from her than all my research had done on the internet and so forth. And she did tell me something that I think's good to pass on. A lot of times when you or when I researched about Alzheimer's or EOAD, she said you can get good information off the internet, but a lot of it, sometimes you get too much information. Just like she said, I believe there's 5 stages of Alzheimer's, and she said everyone's different. She has people that are in their elderly in their 70s and 80s with Alzheimer's clients, and then but she says she also has people as young as in their 30s with Alzheimer's or EOAD, and she says you wouldn't know them to see them, and that's a misperception that she told us that a lot of the doctors and my doctor included, they just don't want to realize that this disease strikes people as early as in their 30s or possibly even younger. They think they go by that. They think that you have to be 65 or 70 or something for this to affect you, and that's just not true. I've said all along, with all the baby boomers coming up that's my age in their 50s, 55, 56, 60s, I think there's going to be an explosion of EOAD and Alzheimer's that it's going to be recognized. And but anyway, what she told us was that she explained it very well, and I didn't realize this, but with this disease, you lose your memory backwards. In other words, she said, because I couldn't understand why I could remember what me and Phyllis had done maybe 30 years ago. I just, I knew all that stuff, but I couldn't remember what I did last night or yesterday or day before or whatever. And she said that's because you lose your memory backwards. It starts with a progression that you won't be able to remember things that just recently happened, but you will remember things that have been going on years ago, which is true. And that brings me to I wanted to explain something that I read on Memory People and other sites about, and it happened to me. I was in, well, like I said, I was in law enforcement. Then I went to the private security sector, and we had a private investigation business. But anyway, things were getting a little tight with the businesses that I had contracted, and I took a job as a state investigator for Ohio for MRDD. In my job, I had 16 counties I was in charge of, and I would go to the facilities, and if there was a problem with one of the clients, as far as abuse or something being stolen from them, or over-medicated or under-medicated, just anything like that, I was in charge of doing that. and everything went fine. The investigations went fine. The interviews went fine. I could do all that because I'd done that for years in law enforcement. But then when it come to the point of, I worked out of my house, and I'd come home and I was going to do the reports on their computer, and for some reason I just couldn't understand how to do them. So this went on for 3 or 4 weeks or better, and I went over to the main office that was in, I have one in Cambridge and one in Mount Vernon in Ohio here. And I spoke with the boss and a couple other guys, and I told them I just, I wasn't stupid, but I couldn't figure out. They said, well, Rick, it's going to take about a year to really comprehend how to get going on this with the reports and how we do them. And I thought, well, okay. Well, it wasn't working because I just, from day to day, it was just getting worse. I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be doing when it came to putting these reports together. So I was there about 3 months, and I got terminated because of my reports. They just wasn't, I just couldn't do them. And I was devastated. I've never been fired from a job in my life. There's nothing wrong with being fired. I just never had been. So I went from I think I was making around, it was about a $60,000 a year job plus expenses. It was an excellent paying job. It was a state job, and I had good benefits. So I went from that job to, and I was still running squad, so I went to running squad full time. And I couldn't figure out, that's when my problems really started bad about the addresses. I couldn't remember addresses, and I couldn't remember certain things on the squad, that the procedures that, like I said, it was just like, it was second nature. I'd done it for so long, but I was having trouble just performing my duties. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not only a memory problem with Alzheimer's, but it's a learning thing. You lose the ability to learn new things. They told me that after I lost my job, and that's the reason why I did lose that job as a state investigator, because I don't blame them for firing me. I couldn't do the job. But I was devastated, and I couldn't figure out why until finally got to the doctor, and he sent me to the neurologist, and we did the blood tests and the many mental tests and things like that. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about, is about losing the ability to learn new things. Also, I just wanted to touch on some things I do around here that I've done in the past that are kind of crazy. I pulled my Jeep in the garage one day several months ago. I just come home from somewhere. I don't remember, it doesn't matter, but for some unknown reason, I didn't shut it off. I don't know why. But anyway, it was over 4 hours later, I go out for some reason again and into the garage, and my Jeep was running, and it had been sitting in there running for over 4 hours, and I couldn't believe that. That was one of the dumbest things I've done. I've left the stove on more times than I want to count. Just the other day, one of them George Foreman grills, and I was fixing sirloin steaks on it, and closed the lid, and everything was fine. It cooked, and Phelps was doing something. And after it got done, I took them off, and I unplugged the George Foreman, because the George Foreman is designed, you can't shut it off, you have to unplug it. So I thought, well, I'll unplug it. So I unplugged it, and I shut the lid. Well, I come out, and we went in the front room, we ate our sandwiches, we was watching TV. And about 4 hours later, or 3 hours later, I walk out into the kitchen, and here I had unplugged something which I thought was the George Foreman, but it was the toaster. And the kitchen had started to fill with smoke, and it had burnt the whole top of the George Foreman grill. It was a mess. So what I'm getting at is, with this disease, you've got to be extra careful when you're... I don't use the stove now or things like that when my wife's not home. I cook everything in the microwave. That's the safest way of doing it. And then I guess I touched on the medication part, but I did want to say this, that I have had up to 3 Exelon patches on me at one time, which is absurd. What happens is I put one on my arm, and then the next day I know to put one on my other arm, but then I forget to take this one off. So now I've got 2 on. I don't think it's going to hurt anything, but that's happened many, many times. And then, of course, I forget to take my medication a lot of times, which is a problem. I leave notes and things like that. I've discussed that before, but it doesn't always work. I get lost a lot when I'm driving here in town. You can't hardly get lost in the city that we live in. It's a small rural town, so even if I do get lost, I'm not really lost. But so I pull over and I just stop and I just try to regain my composure. And if I sit there 5 or 10 minutes and I figure out, if I don't figure out what's going on, then I call Phyllis and I just tell her, listen, what was I supposed to be doing? And I'm not sure where I'm at or where I'm going. So I do have a Garmin in the Jeep, which helps me a lot. And I'm sure you know what Garmins are. It's a little device that tells you where you're at and where you're going and things like that. Anyway, this is going to be a shorter video because I've got to go pick my granddaughter up here in a few minutes. But I want to do a quick one and explain some things that I do around here at the house that I never done before. And just yesterday, I don't know how this happened, but I wear lounging pajama type things here at the house, and I ran over to the BP station to get a couple things, grab a couple quick things, and when I got out of the Jeep and I walked up to the store, I seen my reflection in the store window, and I had on my lounging pants and a green shirt, which I don't know, I guess it's the in thing now to do that, but it's not for me, so I didn't go in. I got back in my Jeep, come home, obviously put a pair of jeans on, and I was good to go. And then one time about several months ago, last summer, the granddaughter was staying here, and Phyllis went to work, and when she got up, she's 4 years old. She come out, and it was cute. She said, Grandpa, I'm ready to go. And she knows we always go to McDonald's in the mornings, and I take her, I was going to take her to school that day to see her sister and receive some awards. But anyway, so she was dressed. She said, I'm ready to go, and she had her little suitcase. And so we popped in the Jeep, and we went down to McDonald's, and we ate and had a good time. Then I took her over to Lake Park Complex, and we was swinging, and I had my camera there, and I was taking pictures of her, and this and that and the other. We had a good time, and then we continued up to her sister's school, and her mom met us there, our daughter, Tia. She met us there to school, and I could tell by the look on Tia's face when she seen us, something was wrong. And she said, Rick, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing, why? She said, why is Courtney in her pajamas? And it hit me. She did have pajamas on. I thought it was I just thought it was her clothes. So here I am prancing around town with a 4-year-old girl, which was my granddaughter, but people didn't know that. Not only that, I take her over to Lake Park Complex, and I'm swinging her and taking pictures of her, and I thought, oh boy, people probably think I'm a pervert, got this kid over there in her pajamas taking photos of her. So it's just little things like that I would have never done a few years ago or whatever. I would have known that was her pajamas, and I was totally embarrassed. I had her in school in the gymnasium sitting in front of, must have been 60 people there, and Tia showed up and like, why does she have her pajamas on? And I'm like, oh. It was kind of funny, but I wished it wouldn't happen because I paid for that one for a long time. Okay, I'm going to close now. Like I say, I hope everybody's having a good day, or will have a good day today. It's I think I said this, but it's January 5th, and I believe this is my 5th video. Things are going well with them, and I'll do a little bit more in-depth one tomorrow. All right, thanks. See ya.